Hey peeps, it is a very cold, very rainy day here at the end of October in New England, and I wanted to make sure that I got this full deck review done before other things get in the way and I lose track of making sure that I share my final thoughts on this deck with you all. So the deck, of course, that I'm talking about is the Goddess of Love Tarot by Gabrielle Herstick with Julia Popescu, excuse me. I was so excited for this deck, and I have done an unboxing on the channel, shared my immediate thoughts with you all. I really do feel like Gabby Herstick is a huge, important, powerful force for sacred sexuality and the work of the sacred prostitute, and the union of the profane and the sacred. I think her work is especially healing for those of us who are moving through life in female bodies, those of us who are women, who identify as women. And there's a power to reclaiming our own sexual, sensual, and erotic energy, embracing that as part of our spiritual practice. So when I heard that she had created a tarot deck, I was super freaking stoked. And immediately, upon unboxing with you all, I really loved the collage style artwork, and I thought that the guidebook looked good. I have been using it a great deal in client readings over the last few weeks. I've been using it every day as a daily draw deck for myself, and so I do feel that I'm ready to share final thoughts on this deck if you're looking to purchase and you're on the fence. So first of all, it is produced by Tarcher Perigee, and I did purchase this deck myself on Amazon. It's very easy to find. I'll put the link below. I don't make money off of that link, but it's there to make things easier for you if you are interested in purchasing. So the deck is very much in alignment with the energy of Venus, of Aphrodite, and of connecting with that for ourselves on our journey. And it's married to the structure of traditional tarot symbolism as part of that experience, especially if you're looking to embrace that for yourself. There are some traditional court card associations and major arcana card associations that have been shifted. Those are very clearly listed in the guidebook. The only thing I would say that might be a bit confusing if you are new to tarot, the inside of the box is white here, and then the bottom has the pink clouds. If you are new to tarot and you might be a little confused, because even though she calls, for instance, the knights in the deck witches, when you go to look up in the guidebook, you have to know that you're looking for a knight. So just make sure if you're new to tarot or you're concerned about learning the structure of this deck, that you give the introduction to the guidebook a good read before you start working with the deck, okay? As long as you do that, I think you'll be perfectly fine. It's very easy to see what she shifted over. She lists why. And the guidebook itself is worth a read over. I love that the ink is this kind of beautiful pinky red, and it just has this gorgeous, lovely, beautiful celebration of the sacred feminine. Now, I am not a pink person. I don't really enjoy the color pink. It's not something I bring into my life. And that was a concern of mine when it came to purchasing this deck. Like, am I going to want to work with a deck that's so just redolent with pink and yellow tonality? I don't mind it at all. I haven't found it to be an issue at all. I actually really think that the backings are cute. I think that they look interesting on my altar downstairs because everything else in my life is very different as far as color goes. So the deck really stands out in regards to my collection. But if you love the color pink, I think you'll definitely enjoy it as well. Now, Tarot Shrink edged her deck in red, which I will be doing as well as soon as I have time for that, single mom life. But that even adds like another layer of lushness to this deck, I think. So I'll definitely be edging the deck in red as well. I'm going to show you some imagery just while I talk about the deck and the guidebook and why I highly recommend this deck, because I love this deck. I'm really, really enjoying working with it. And what I found is that it comes, this deck's personality And I think the purpose for this deck, at least in how I have found I am using it for myself and with clients, is it's very much focused on understanding oneself and one's inner sensuality and terrain around the sacred feminine when it comes to lust, beauty, and love. And so it is not a relationship focused deck for me. I haven't felt called to work with it for relationships. Instead, I felt called to work with it for personally exploring my own inner terrain and giving myself freedom to honor emotionally, inwardly, physically, spiritually, where I am on any given day. It's like a beautiful check-in deck for where I am for my personal daily draws. And then with clients, it's very much been about empowerment, actually, and understanding the sacred feminine essence within ourselves. So I don't think you need to approach this deck as a relationship deck. It's not a love deck in that way. It's an offering of love to the goddess of love, I believe, but it's much more about coming to understand and love your own sensuality, beauty, eroticism, physicality, and your own spiritual path. And I really feel like this is a deck that's very much in alignment with the goddess Babylon. So if you've been looking to connect with Babylon energy or Inanna, Ishtar, this is a great deck for that. I think you're going to find that it really hits a powerful and potent sweet spot with that. It's a gorgeous, gorgeous, to me, ode to Babylon and how I experience her and essence and energy and her purpose, and how that is expressed through my incarnation and presence to my own story. And I think what I've been noticing a lot for myself on my personal path is how much I lose my own story with everyone else's stories around me, you know? And I think this deck is a beautiful offering to reconnect with your own story. Not from a selfish standpoint, but more just from an understanding, right? So let's talk about, so first of all, so I say all that, I love the collage style artwork. I love the it's very evocative of exactly what Gabby talks a lot about in the guidebook. So if you are called to the artwork at all, like even if it's not a knock it out of the park artwork deck for you, but you can feel yourself able to work with it, I think you're going to find that this is a powerhouse of a deck. So I do highly recommend it. I do. But you do want to make sure that it's in alignment with where you're at in your journey, and also that you can work with the artwork, right? So if the artwork's really not your style, you might want to step away from it. I want to talk a little bit about the guidebook. The guidebook is amazing. What I really love about it, and I think I said this recently. I think I said it to my Patreon peeps. It very much reminds me of the Dream Keepers Tarot, in that I really like to journal off of the guidebook meanings, as opposed to looking at the guidebook meanings as the divinatory meaning of the card pull, actually looking at the journal prompt aspect of the guidebook itself. So Gabby has journal prompts included with each card and the card meaning. But what I have found is I'm really journaling off of a lot more of what she has listed as description within the few paragraphs for each card. So there's the title of the card, the astrological correspondence, there's a few paragraphs of information, then there's an affirmation and a journal question for each and every card. So I like her journal questions. Please don't think I'm saying I don't, but I actually end up journaling myself, you know, even before I get to her journal question, just off of what she has listed in the card description and meaning. So I think there's a lot that you can get out of this guidebook. It certainly is not going against traditional card meaning and imagery at all, but I don't think that the focus of the card description is on expounding upon traditional card meaning. Instead, it's expounding upon the goddess of love's journey and how we connect with that. So I would say approach the guidebook as a way for you to get to know the goddess and yourself at a deeper level, and the sacred feminine at a deeper level as well. So there's a lot of sweet to be extracted from this guidebook. I really, really like this guidebook. And I think Gabby does it in a succinct way. She doesn't need to do it in an Alana Fairchild 20 pages for each card way. And sometimes it's nice to not have to be held hostage to the card guidebook when you only have 5 minutes in the morning to do a daily draw, right? So I think that that's something, there's something to be said. There's something valuable to packing a lot of bang for your buck in a little bit of information, which I think Gabby does a wonderful job of. Now, when it comes to the court cards, the pages have been renamed maidens. The knights have been renamed witches. The queens have stayed queens. The kings have become the crones, okay? So, and she does go over this in the guidebook. It's very clearly listed. Like I said, just remember, you're going to have to look, you're going to have to know the associations and the shift with that before you go to your guidebook. Because in the guidebook, it's going to be listed under King of Swords when it's Crone of Swords. But she does list this underneath, but you'll need to know what the Crone of Swords is in order to find that in the guidebook. Okay, I hope that's clear. But she does have it just, explained in the beginning. And so it's something that you can very easily work with. And she has lots of, not lots of, but she has some recommendations, some new ways to work with the cards from a romantic, but also love, lust, sensuality, sacred sexuality place. So there's, and she does it again, very succinctly. I just want to make sure that, yes. So on page 3, the last paragraph is where she describes the shift in the court card titles. So you definitely won't have to try to pause what I've said here and figure that out for yourself. You can reference it in the guidebook. So let me see, brass tacks, things that I may not have said. It's a 123 page guidebook. The cardstock is, I don't know, I would say kind of similar to like Darkwood Tarot, not quite as slippery, a little more of a satin, but as far as like how it feels like it's going to hold up over time, it's got a little bit of that kind of a feel to me, more like say Darkwood as opposed to the traditional Rider-Waite-Smith cardstock. And so I think as long as you're gentle with your deck, you're not going to have any problem having longevity out of the deck itself. You will see that within the collage work, there's a lot of references to specific pantheons and other faces of the goddess. And it's a really nice jumping off point to explore your connections and relationships with the goddesses on your own path, the goddesses that walk with you and share story and sacred space with you as well. So you get a lot of options with this deck. I think it hits traditional divinatory Rider-Waite-Smith / Thoth style. It also hits spiritual journey work. It hits personal path. It can hit shadow work. It hits sexuality. It hits priestesshood, witchcraft. It's very witchcraft focused. So I would say if you are not exploring a path of witchcraft, you may not enjoy the guidebook as much as if you are, but I don't think it would stop you from still extracting great journaling questions for your own journey. I really, really highly recommend this deck. As I said, I've been using it every day. I've also been using it in client readings. I found it to be very much about coming to understand yourself, your own physicality, sensuality, sexuality, spirituality, relationship to and with the goddess at a much deeper level. It is not a skim the surface relationship, twin flame love reading deck at all. I haven't actually really felt called to use this for straight up relationship questions at all. It's been much more about personal realm, personal journey, personal understanding, and looking at how you can embrace the essence of the sacred feminine and yourself as an embodiment of that sacred feminine. So I highly recommend this deck. If you've been on the fence about it and been waiting to see this full review, I just wanted to make sure I got it out there before too much time went by for this deck, because I have a whole list of unboxings and reviews that I still have yet to record for the channel. Those are coming. Don't worry, I'm working on it. But this one's really special. It's unique. It's a different tarot deck. It's not a Rider-Waite-Smith knockoff, excuse me. It's not the Golden Art Nouveau tarot, as much as I love that deck. This deck has a lot of meat, a lot of power, and it is very much in alignment with the goddess and with witchcraft as well. So if you're looking to embrace your physicality, embrace your sensuality, heal from shame and guilt, and bring full presence to your own experience and story. I think this is a great deck to work with for that. Card size, here's the traditional Pamela Coleman Smith, Rider-Waite-Smith deck size compared to this. So a little bit bigger, longer, but pretty much the same width. I like the size of these, but I have larger hands, so you might find it a little bit difficult to shuffle if you have smaller hands, but I think it's definitely workable. It's not quite as bulky as, say, Ritual Tarot for sure. So, or Le Vampire Oracle. So I hope you are all doing well out there in the world. I am sending you, as always, much love and many blessings, and I will see you in the next video.